Activists gathered in Lafayette tonight to make their voices heard regarding the shooting death of Trayford Pellerin by Lafayette police. The black militia group NFAC planned with local law enforcement an armed protest through the streets of downtown Lafayette. Members of the Village, NAACP, and other local activist groups supported the rally.
Lafayette is better than what has happened here over the last couple of weeks, and just because we have people like the sheriff trying to restrict people from participating and putting up every roadblock they can, we're going to continue to try to advocate on the part of everybody in our community, be it white, black, rainbow colored, pink, right? Like, we want to make sure that our community has a voice in this process. This isn't a dictatorship here in Lafayette. Our community is engaged now in this process, and we're going to continue to be.
A Lafayette man is facing charges tonight after a gun in his possession accidentally fired just moments after the rally started. 26-year-old Terrence Jones is facing 2 charges, one for reckless discharge of a firearm and another for being a felon in possession of a firearm. The rally was immediately stopped when reports of the shooting happened. Police arrested Jones in the area near Park Sans Souci. Now, that incident doesn't overshadow the march led by the NFAC. We saw lots of participation in downtown Lafayette at today's rally. Our crews noticed many people didn't have signs, but instead were cheering and listening to the leadership of the NFAC. One Lafayette native we spoke with says he's seen other protests around the country get out of hand and says tonight's event should be a model for others.
Respect one another. It's been disrespect going on for a long time. It's going to be there. It's not going to change no time soon, I don't believe, but this is a start. But this is a demonstration of a start of how to try to get things done in a peaceful way.
So it was a busy day in downtown Lafayette as activists came together to support each other and make their collective voices heard. Our Jordan Lippincott has a recap of today's events.
Around 4 o'clock, members of the NFAC, coming from all over the country, moved into the street in front of the library. Just before they took their first steps in their planned march, several gunshots could be heard coming from Park Sans Souci, where the group was ultimately headed for the protest. A quick arrest was made, no one injured, when deputies say a Lafayette man's gun accidentally discharged. Another tense moment shortly thereafter as the group dropped to their knees yelling "sniper" as they noticed what appeared to be law enforcement staged on the roof of the Iberia Bank building. They resumed the walk and were followed by the local chapter of the NAACP to meet a waiting crowd at the park. The program was led by Grandmaster Jay, one-time presidential candidate, and the leader of the NFAC.
Because it seems like any other time y'all try to protest, they want to do stuff to you. They want to tear gas you and hit you over the head. Isn't it strange that when we come out, that doesn't happen? Nobody gets tear gas, nobody gets knocked over the head. I wonder why. You know why? Because you always look at power with power. Power respects power. And you all have the right to exercise the same power.
Protesters called for changes within the police department, especially in light of the most recent officer-involved shooting that led to the death of Trayford Pellerin.
But there's a name that comes to my mind, Pellerin.
Yes, sir. Young brother.
Y'all act like y'all don't know who that is. Y'all ain't make no noise for this man that was shot down by the police simply because he tried to walk into a convenience store. That could have been you, or you. So I'm going to say it again. Pellerin.
One moment not sitting well with many local residents when LCG's Chief of Minority Affairs took the stage.
The power of the Almighty God. Just over a month ago, our community lost a brother, a son, a friend named Trayford Pellerin.
Audience members started yelling, saying he was lying, and at one point, members of the NFAC had to investigate because the calls for him to stop speaking were getting so heated.
To completion, much love to you, Grandmaster Jay.
In the end, the group asked for justice, called for people to vote, and for Lafayette to form its own chapter of the NFAC.
I want y'all to be like them, be like us, join up with us, stand your ground. And when you see something messed up happen, don't just be a witness to it.
In Lafayette, Jordan Lippincott, KATC TV3.
All right, thank you, Jordan. The group made plans to come to Lafayette, they say, after Congressman Clay Higgins made threats against groups such as theirs, a threat Facebook took down almost immediately. You'll recall Higgins reportedly told the group he'd meet with them today, but changed his mind when they released a phone recording of their conversation. We did not see Congressman Higgins. One of his opponents in the upcoming race did speak out.
Citing language does not work. Language that is not full of decorum and decency does not work. And we've known this forever. In fact, he's a military guy. He should know this. Loose lips sink ships.
Higgins did post to Facebook this afternoon, not referencing the protest, but instead showed an image of groceries bought at Rouse's, saying, quote, "Headed to a barbecue with some cops. Veterans all. Army strong. Lafayette is nice this time of year." The sheriff's office was joined today by several law enforcement agencies, including state police, several federal agencies, and police officers from Lafayette, Youngsville, Broussard, and Carencro. Deputies say they are grateful today's protest ended so peacefully.
Anybody that attended the event today saw overwhelming response of law enforcement, where law enforcement was talking to all the groups that were in attendance. So we definitely took our time. We were able to mix and talk to many of the people that were involved, people exercising their rights. We support that. We support peaceable protests.